You weighed in at 334.4, so you gained 1.2 pounds.
I was disappointed that the number did not go down. Any other time in life, that would set me all the way the wrong direction. And I'm not. I have more resolve than I did when I got on that scale today. Today, I'm allowing myself today to relax, but I'm going to have 6 straight days of deliberate progress. And we are starting to go in the right direction aggressively moving forward. I'm ready. This week, I'm at least losing 1.5 pounds. That number will be less than 333.
So last week, you made a bold proclamation. I'd never seen you this way before. It was absolutely amazing how much determination you had towards weight loss. I couldn't believe what you were saying, and I couldn't believe the expression on your face. I could tell that there was something happening inside of you after 7 months of this. Plus, seemed like you got to the point where you were ready to take the next step. But it was a level of internal motivation that I never thought you would achieve when it comes to this particular goal. And maybe I'm jaded because I've been around you for over 30 years, and weight loss has been something on the agenda for you at one time or another for that entire 30-year period. So the fact that you appeared last week to really, really want to make progress, which is the precursor to achieving some pretty impressive results, had me really motivated to see what that number was going to be this week. And this morning, bright and early, I looked at my phone and I saw a 2.2 pound weight loss. 2.2 pounds from 334.4 to 332.2. That's fantastic. And it matches the personality that I saw coming out of you last week. It's exactly what I would have expected if you lived up to what you were saying last week. And I really expected it to happen. There's many weeks that went by where I was very skeptical as to whether you were going to be able to achieve what it is that you were saying that you were going to achieve. I figured that it was really a 50-50 shot. I always give you a 50% chance, but I always leave the other 50% open for things happen and didn't go so well, not well as expected, all with good intentions, but wasn't able to live up to it. But last week was different. Honestly, everybody go watch last week's episode and tell me if you cannot see the level of determination in your voice and in your facial expressions. It felt like a man who was finally in control versus somebody who was out of control. And this week you delivered 2.2 pounds. In fact, the past 3 weeks, because I've totaled up the month by month weight loss for 4-week periods. You lost 13.5 the first 4 weeks, then 6.9 the second 4 weeks, then 5.9, then 2.1, then 2. Then you gained 2.8. Then you gained 8.2. That was the last 4-week period. In the past 3 weeks, we have one more week. In the past 3 weeks, you're down 1.2, 2.2, 3, 4.2, 3. You're down 3 pounds in 3 weeks. So you're down 1 pound a week average for the past 3 weeks. You lost 2 pounds, then you gained 1.2 and you lost 2.2. So, but this is the week that counts, because last week was the first time I saw whatever I saw from you, that level of motivation that was coming internally, that I was really hoping one day to see out of you. It's rose to the surface last week like nothing I ever expected. So tell me how you feel about this and what happened this week that was different from the other weeks. If you can give me a breakdown as to both mental, physical, and what it is you actually did to turn the ship around.
Yep. So attitude mixed with opportunity, unique opportunity this week. I had some time alone at home during the weekend and invested time in a little bit more planning and getting the right materials on hand as far as the foods I needed to consume.
Hmm.
The last couple weeks, I've been progressively learning to cook a little bit more, diversify my lineup of food with a couple different instruments. I got an air fryer over the last couple weeks. I got
Yeah.
a 4 waffle maker that I use for eggs now. So
Hmm.
that really got extra use this week. Pretty much every morning I ate egg whites. So I'm starting to get, it's like everything coming together, the science of it with, uh, what works during what time of day, what my needs are during what time of day, what's going to satisfy those needs most efficiently, but, with, some level of enjoyment. And I found a way to focus on the enjoyment aspect of it and still accomplish something in the process. And little fine tuning here and there. It's starting to feel like that's coming together that way. I was pretty consistent with my breakfast. I put some real effort into planning the week. My breakfast meals. I cooked breakfast meat that was going to last me through the week on the weekend, and I just
Hmm.
take bits of that. I bagged it up in the refrigerator, and then bag that up, and then take a portion out every day. Decent portion of meat every day to fill my belly for a few hours. So breakfast sausages and bacon and that sort of thing, and then I just supplement it with the eggs that I would cook that morning. The waffle iron thing is crucial, man. It helps. I get like 4 eggs worth of food right there in the matter of a couple minutes, and it's pretty easy to clean up and all that other stuff.
Hmm.
So I had that. That's pretty much every breakfast during the week, and that got me off to the good start. I uh, I committed to dinners being consistently either salad or uh, if I needed more protein with salad. Most of the time it's chicken or that sort of thing, like cut up chicken. And I was able to do that by mixing up some dressing so that I'm not quite as bored as I would have otherwise been. Uh, and if I'm not in the mood for the salad, I just have the protein. But having that opportunity to go back and forth with those is helpful. And then the middle of the day is when I give myself the grace that I need, because those 2 meals, the first and the last, are pretty well low to no carb, and so I spend all my carbs as judiciously as I can during the middle of the day. I tried to aim for the 100 mark uh, to be consistent. There was probably a couple days where it went north of there, but not by much. If it did, I really tried to make 100 like the aim point, and and then figuring out again, coming down to the science of it. My junk bar, candy bar habit. I found a new trick to satisfy that. Uh, Simple stuff like instead of getting the Snickers bars, which have been my enemy for a long time, or whatever candy bars, I found that chocolate coated peanuts are satisfying to me on both the taste and the fact that it slows me down naturally. I just pop one of those in at a time
Hmm.
and chew it all the way up. It literally controls the pace for me. Where I used to be a guy where it's a huge bite and then the next huge bite, So that actually has helped me, and the skills I've learned over the last couple months, I've been able to slow that pace down. Where even if I had those peanuts before, just throw a bunch of them in at once, right? But I'm just eating them one at a time, and that helped a lot. Um, so as far as the execution, it's just it came all together, and my determination just happened to hit at the right time because it all just worked right this week. Um, I was able to be pretty consistent with the carbs every single day. I told you I gave myself some grace on Friday, but then 6 straight days. And yeah, I'm trying to think. The mentality definitely did shift. I felt, I remember feeling like I was ready to take it all on last week when we talked. And I feel like I was able to actually execute that consistently for the whole week, which is another, corner being turned, because it's like, it's probably as shocking to me to hear you be convinced of me being able to control this as it is uh, that I did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, but like as that I actually felt what I was feeling, and it came true. It came true. It worked. It worked effectively. Um, I was feeling better all week, and that was kind of also, reinforcement. I was like, maybe I can get 3 pounds this week. Who knows? I wouldn't have been shocked if it was. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think I predicted 1.5 pounds. So, I knew I was giving myself some grace with the 100 carb range. I know your original prescription for me was 50, and I felt like I was going to lose something if I stayed true to the 100 mark. And I was hopeful that that would be at least 1.5 pounds. But if you told me it was 1 pound loss, I wouldn't have been completely shocked. If you told me it was 3 pounds, I wouldn't have been completely shocked either. So it's kind of right on the money. And I feel like it's completely sustainable with just a little bit of preparation. And I got to capitalize while the mindset is and the focus is here, because this is a level that I haven't been at. And I don't know how fragile it is. Probably pretty fragile since it's a new thing for me, but I'm still feeling it. I'm still feeling it. I'm determined to do another week of strong progress and build off of it every single week. I don't know if 2 pounds is an expectation every single week, but I safely say 1 pound is. The way I'm feeling right now, I don't. I mean, I don't want to speak something into existence, but I feel like I should be able to lose 1 pound a week without too much difficulty.
Well, you've averaged 1 pound a week over the past 3 weeks, so that would be exactly the trajectory that you're headed in on average. So it's a tad demoralizing that it feels as if I had to remind you of how motivated you were a week ago before we got off the
No,
air. And
no, no.
I encourage you to either write it down or go back and watch, because I want you, because look, when you're dealing with something that you've been living with for a lifetime, almost 50 years, and that's labeled an addiction that you've struggled with for almost 5 decades, it's easy for the mind to want to forget. Like, if you get really excited about something and something happens, it's easy to get derailed and go in the direction that you've always gone in, and just forget the mindset that you had when you were really, really excited and motivated. So it's important to remind yourself of, in any way you possibly can, whether it's a sticky note that, remember that episode, remember how you felt, remember how motivated you were on that day to get this done. You want to remind yourself about how you felt when this was on the forefront of your mind. So that way, if something happens that tries to sabotage that feeling from you, you can stop and think before you act, because it's very easy to get sucked back in. It's not that nobody has these, or very few people have these moments where it feels as if it's going to be the seismic shift, and that feeling lasts with them for weeks, months, years. Generally, it lasts for a little while, but eventually it just diminishes to the point where it can even disappear. Things get really stressful. If you have an unexpected situation you have to deal with, it's easy to completely forget about how you felt when things were better, and how this was really at the forefront of your mind as far as a goal that you really, really wanted to achieve, really, for probably the first time that you expressed that level of desire and that level of confidence. So, reminding yourself in those moments is important so that way you don't completely fall off the rails. Because those are the moments, if you look at the trajectory of the past 7 months, it's if you take out the periods of weight gain, and which means in the future, if you can avoid scenarios where you end up gaining back weight, it's going to make all the difference in the world in being able to make progress. Because even if you have a maintenance, if you get to the point where it's a couple weeks where you don't lose anything, you haven't gone backwards, and you can just pick up as quickly as possible where you left off. You don't have to make up ground, and that makes a huge difference in just in how overall how you feel and how it is that you approach the future weeks, knowing that I had I paused, like I maybe had a bad week, but I was able to control myself to the point where I didn't lose control. So that's probably the next big step, is making sure that there's no loss of control. And I will say that there's a couple things I noticed. One, and I don't know if you picked up on this, but you mentioned that you were home alone this past weekend. And I recall that anytime when you've been home alone, okay, you get quite mischievous when it comes to calories. So the home alone that I remember you describing a few months ago was an out of control expedition of you and brownies and pizza and everything you can get your hands on. And it seems as if correct me if I'm wrong, but this week's Home Alone was far different in that you actually spent some of that time preparing to lose weight, which is totally unprecedented. I don't think you can tell me of another experience where you were home by yourself and you actually thought about weight loss.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think that occurred to me during the week at some point, but not. I mean, this really kind of shoves it right in my face in a great way. That yeah, I mean, like I was so just focused that um like that I didn't really dwell on that or focus on that part of it. I was just focused on execution, and
Yeah,
and then
that's
the
great.
rest of life. And
I'm all for that.
yeah, so like yeah, I mean, and I feel like that is just going hand in hand with the rest of probably the way I sounded last week. That I mean that was this is all real. I'm doing this with my heart. So I tell you my heart.
Yeah.
When I'm not feeling good, or like I'm gonna have a great week, you could pretty much predict. And then but when I'm feeling it, I'm capable of doing some awesome stuff and
amazing things. Yes.
It's like the thing is, like, I'm not going to specifically recall how to get here. This is the trick. I don't remember. I don't know how I'm going to make myself just get here. I have to capitalize on it when it's here. I feel like I have to capitalize while I feel this way. And exactly what you said, not allow myself to go backwards ever. And
yes,
I think that's the thing that I can gain from this.
Yes.
I think that, like, I don't think I have to, under any circumstance at this point, I feel like I've gotten to the point where I don't have to gain weight at all. Like, they're like an inconsistent week.
This is good. This is really good.
May not have to ever result in a gain. Like, I am, but it wouldn't have just happened. I don't know how this all came to be. Just grinding it out every week with you probably is what's got me here.
It came to be because we're 7.5. Yes, we're 7.5 months, almost 8 months in. That's how it happened. You've been doing this for almost 8 months, and you something has to happen during that time. Either one of two things. Okay, either you're going to give up or you're going to learn something. Can you come up with another option?
No, you're right.
You've been here for almost 8 months. If you're going to show up that many weeks in a row, 31 weeks, you're going to get something out of this. Now, of course, yeah, there's knowledge, but you've been not only absorbing knowledge throughout the past 7 months, but you've been applying it. So you've been practicing every single week. You've been applying this because you want every weigh in to mean something. You want that number to go down. You don't want to have a disappointing figure. That's something. Even though you had struggles along the way, the latter half of this, you've always wanted to do well. You've always wanted that number to go down. So you've been doing what you have to do each week to try to negotiate between the part of you that wants to lose weight and the part of you that wants to eat as much as you possibly can. And then you're trying to negotiate to the point where you can get something that will make you happy when it comes to your diet. So that way you can enjoy what you eat, but at the same time, also be able to lose weight every week. You've been doing this now for almost 8 months. So what happens after that? You build new habits. And speaking of new habits, that's the second thing that I noticed is that there was an experimentation phase the past couple months where you decided, I'm going to try to spread out my carbs. I'm going to try to make my meals more carb friendly throughout the day, but have less carb, not have a big carb meal, but have smaller carb meals throughout the day. And this week, which is the week you lost 2.2 pounds and the week where you feel things are coming together for you to move in the right direction consistently going forward, you told me that had worked on making your protein breakfast, breaking your meats so that you can eat that, your high protein breakfast, high protein dinner. And in the middle of the day, you have your carbs. Used to be Snickers bars. Now you got the chocolate covered peanuts. You have alternatives planned. Essentially, you're back to what got you here to begin with. When you were on your regular work schedule, heavy protein breakfast, protein dinner in the middle of the day was treat time. That's where Snickers bars reigned supreme. And you're back to the same routine, which obviously now through experimentation, you found out it works for you. It works for you mentally and it works for you physically. Because on this plan, the plan of the middle carb meal and the sandwiched between high protein, low carb, you lost 2.2 pounds and you seem to be happy with it. You seem to be happy with the way the meal plan was structured. You seem to be satisfied. It seems as if that is the perfect combination for you because it allows you, there is a part of you, and I don't blame you for this because there's a part of anybody that if food is a weakness for them, they want to have latitude at one time or another to be able to enjoy themselves. And spreading out the carbs doesn't give you much latitude. It gives you carbs throughout several meals, but it's much less than you could have at one meal. And having that one meal that you can focus on, you can get excited about leading into it, and knowing that it's at a time during the day where you'd be vulnerable, where your hunger is coming back and you really want something that you can really get excited about going into it and then come out of it satisfied. And then dinner, you don't have a problem with. You don't have a problem at night being able to conserve and not have to consume the carbs. And you don't have a problem as long as you do the meal prep in the morning to be able to consume the protein. So you've done the work this week to prepare the meats ahead of time. You got your protein locked in the morning that fills you up. You can look forward to that midday meal, afternoon meal, where you end up having your carbohydrates, whatever it is that you want. The latitude is there. You got 100 grams to work with. That's a pretty sizable amount of carbs that you can have fun with and enjoy. And then that'll satisfy you going into dinner. You're going to be okay then. And that's when you were on a regular schedule with your job, you were doing basically that same plan, and you had experimented to get to that point, deviated from it. Things got hectic and awry, and you really weren't on any plan for a little bit, and that's when the weight gain seeped in, and then you ended up now more recently, especially this past week, you decided I'm going to hone in and find out exactly what I need to do. And it started with a family-free weekend that you spent really brainstorming what you're going to do and preparing for this and getting everything ready for this past week. And you ended up gravitating back to the plan that has worked for you for many weeks over the past 7 months, and that's have that have that midday meal that you can have fun with, and the sandwich that in between a bunch of protein, and you're going to get results. And not only are you going to get results, but you're going to have always have something that you can enjoy yourself with, a meal that you can splurge on. It's a cheap meal every day, is what it amounts to. I mean, because and who wouldn't want that? But you're doing it in such a way where it's a cheap meal every day, but it's a meal, and the meals that precede and follow are very high protein, low carb. So you're giving your body what it needs to lose weight.
Yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I feel like, you mentioned the loan for the weekend, and I mean that I feel like was the beginning. You helped identify when we talked through this whole process about, when I was on my drive to you, and then the week I had to offset that, I put some work in while I was with you for a whole week to undo what I did in one day of travel, which was insane. And then I did it, but it was a grind, and I was super focused those 6 days. If I had that super focus when I didn't make that same mistake, I'd have been better off. You helped me figure this out. You isolated the fact that one of my big downfalls was anytime there was loneliness, the emotional component. We isolated the emotional component, and you know the feeling of being alone impacted my behavior, and it could be physical alone, but also like other alone, just feeling isolated from something. And and like I had to address that. You had to bring that to my attention, and I had to figure that out, and I had to process it. I had to go through it. Like it says, everybody says process all the time, but I had to experience all this to get here. If I didn't talk this through with
Mm-hmm.
you, I would never have isolated that as being such a big factor. Maybe people have other factors. That happens to be like a big killer factor for me. And I feel like once you brought that to my attention and I let that soak in for a little bit, I like that kind of set the wheels in motion to make this progress. And maybe that's what got me over this big hurdle. And so much of it is mental. So much of it's mental. For me, when I go through life feeling, I mean, you could feel alone at any point, any given point during a day, you could feel alone in
Mm-hmm.
one way, shape, or form. It could be on a long commute home. It could be traveling to go see your buddy. Like it could be um, during a lunch hour when you're isolated from coworkers or friends or whatever. That you could do stupid damage during that time. I do stupid damage during those times. So being aware of that helped me to figure out like how to not feel that way. If I wasn't aware that was a big part of the problem, then I wouldn't take steps to analyze why, how can I avoid not that feeling. Sometimes it's not rational, it's
Mm-hmm.
just that's how you feel, but you got to get control of that feeling. And I feel like that's where the growth has really gone to the next level. Like I'm I'm increasingly conscious that like I'm not alone. You know what I'm saying? Like I've, I've always got somebody with me, and when he's with you, nothing's gonna win against you. So that's I mean, and I've actually been able to take that to heart. If somebody's struggling with I'd probably say any addiction, like
Yes.
go to who's with you at all times, dude. Go to him and just be with him. And like I'm telling you, that's like a huge part of this. Like I don't know how to put it any other
Absolutely.
way. This isn't doing this by myself. I've got you. And we got him that are all the way behind them,
Mhm.
you know, and yeah, I mean, like I can't take credit for all of it. Like this would not be what's happening right now if I didn't have those supports. And tapping
Mhm.
into that has changed the game. Changed the game. Like I'm if I didn't love myself enough to do this, like it's almost like I'm wanting to do this because he wants better for me than I do. Like I'm feeling that spirit in me and it's powerful, dude. Like I'm taking care of myself better than I have in every aspect of life and particularly physically um, than I have in probably forever in my adult life. And I can't help but think that there's a big, strong link between that and what's happening right now in this regard. And that's why
There's
I'm
no doubt about
cautious
it.
because, yeah, I don't, because I'm sure I'm human and I can make a million mistakes. I'm great for that. But I feel like we're on the right track, dude. I feel like we're really on the right track.
Yeah, anybody that's struggling with anything, they're in a position where they're involved in some sort of addictive behavior. Especially they can tell that when they're in a situation when they're alone and they feel lonely, they feel overwhelmed, and they have the temptation to do what they know they shouldn't be doing, but they know it's going to feel good doing it because it's going to take the loneliness away or the stress away or the sadness away temporarily. Um, it's essentially that person needs a hug. They need somebody to to tell them that they care, to show them that they care, and what was filling the void. Whatever it is that they're addicted to is filling that void. And they go to that in place of true connection. So this past year, we've become closer than ever before. And that's been a huge pivotal turning point for you because our connection is rock solid. It always has been. But the fact that we're communicating on a regular basis, spend a lot of time together, lots of visits, that has helped tremendously because that's connection. That's real connection. And that's authentic connection that both of us experience. And then when I'm not there with you during the week, because we only meet here, we live far apart. So we're only meeting here for an hour. Of course, we could talk during the week, but you're very busy and you're trying to make things happen. But I'm always here for you anytime you want to talk, anytime you need anything. But during that week, what's sustaining you? Your relationship with God, which has been growing and growing and growing over the past year, coincidentally. Uh, as our relationship deepens, so does your desire to get closer to God. And it has been of paramount importance because, just like you said, you're at home thinking, does he want better for me? And if he wants better for me, then why is it that I can't deliver? Why is it that I can't go out there and do what I have to do in order to make my life what it should be? When you are at home by yourself and you're doing all your work and trying to establish your career and everything that you're trying to achieve, and I'm not there, uh, he is there. God is there. God is always with you. And you've deepened that relationship to the point where now you're thinking uh, throughout the day, if he wants better of me, I know I can do better. And he loves me as much as he does. And why aren't I able to do what I have to do to make it happen? Why aren't I able to live up to my potential? I am, like you are. And you feel the connection. And that's the connection with God, the mystical connection and the connection that we have, the strong bond that we have. Those types of connections are what propel you to do what's necessary to be able to achieve any goal. And that's the reason why you have more of that determination and desire than ever before. That combined with all of the work that you're putting in the past almost 8 months. I mean, the combination of understanding, just like you said, that loneliness really spurs this addiction. It fuels this addiction. It's what pushes you to do what you deep down don't want to do, but understand deeply that it works, and that habit that's built up over the years is what you gravitate towards. But ultimately, you know that there's a different path that you can follow, a path you've been conditioning yourself to follow for the past 7 months. And now that you know that there was that hole, that loneliness hole that kept getting filled with donuts and candy bars and fast food, you've decided to fill it up with something else instead. And that's propelled you to want to do better, to actually want, finally, deep down, want to do better in every area of life, not just in one particular area, not in the easy areas, but in all areas and in all the challenging areas. No matter what it is that you're up against, you know that you can achieve it when you've got support, the support that we share from one another, and you got God on your side. There's no way you can lose. All you have to do is come up with a plan and follow it. And anytime you start feeling that loneliness, anytime you start feeling that instability, reach out, connect with God, connect with me, connect with anybody that cares about you, and you can overcome it. You can absolutely overcome it. It's a choice to go to that step and make that connection. But once you know that connection's authentic and real, there's nothing that can stop you. There really isn't. Yes, you're going to have bad days. Yes, you're going to have. Everybody does. No one's going to be perfect ever, but you're going to see that the good days greatly start outnumbering the bad days. And in the law of averages, you're going to get so far in the positive direction that anytime you have to pause because of something unexpected, it's going to be a blip on the radar. It's not going to sabotage you. It's not going to cause you to backtrack. And that's just a huge step in the right direction that you've taken. And at the crux of that, yeah, it's the connection that you've made, the connection that we have together that has accelerated over the past year, the connection with God that has grown tremendously for you, and the fact that you've decided that we continually meet every week, and you've decided to keep showing up. And you made that decision. No one forced you to do it. You're here every single week, rain or shine, you show up, and we have this conversation, and you weigh in on Friday and we talk about it. It is that combination is unbeatable, man. That's the reason why you're able to say that you've lost over 20 pounds, and that in times where you would have gained all of that and then some back, you haven't. And you're learning skills that will last a lifetime, skills that will get you to your weight loss goal, will get you to 240 pounds. We'll burn all the fat off, and then we'll keep you there, and then we'll get you to achieving other goals you have in life as well. It's a cumulative effect. You get stronger and stronger the more you do this, and that's the reason why almost 8 months in, you're able to speak with conviction, because you've been practicing this for so long, and because you've been able to identify the wound, the loneliness wound, the connection wound that needed to be healed, that needed to be filled with something constructive. And you've done it. You've done it with our relationship, and you've done it with your relationship with God. So you have an unbeatable plan to success right now.
I feel like it. I feel more like that than ever before. And if you told me all of this at the beginning, I would have probably been doubtful. I wouldn't have, like, you have to, I think what you said, the authentic part, you have to feel it authentically. I have to feel it authentically to be able to do this. Like, I know and feel the love. And like, if you tell me there's love, that's one thing, but I have to feel it. And like, that
Mm-hmm.
does fill a gap. I mean, it really does. There's no other way to put it. I'm not, uh, I'm not as tempted by far as I used to be a couple weeks ago. I've gone into the gas station to pay for gas without getting a candy bar. Like, this is stuff that, like, even a month ago was unthinkable, dude. Like, I'm making, like you say, I'm
Oh,
making
for sure.
progress in relationship that, yeah, like that's that's a huge part of it. But I would have never figured this stuff out. Would have never gotten to any of it without us talking all the time about this and looking at it week by week and
It's
saying, like, this is working, that's not working. Put this together with that and see what happens. Try this with that and see what happens. There's been ups and downs, there's been failures, there's been successes. And like, I'm so grateful, like you mentioned, like I don't even want to know what my total, if you add up all the weeks of weight loss and take away the positive gain, like what would it look like? It'd probably be a great number right now that I would love to trade for. But like I'm able to look at it and say, I'm just grateful I caught it when I did. That I've gone back into
yes.
the 330. I flirted with the high 330s again. Thankfully, that was enough, like to get here.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, if I would have not, if we had not been doing this, I would be probably higher than my start 8 months ago. I'd probably be
Yep.
at a much higher
No
number
doubt.
than that. And
No doubt about it.
that's a huge deal. You look at that potential swing right there. If you look at it that way, I mean, that's probably a 40 to 50 pound difference right there. And
Yeah.
from making this look like
Yeah.
I'm still in striking distance of getting exactly where I want to be in the long run to
Mhm.
I'm just
Mhm.
that much further demoralized and out of it. And like it's just such a pivotal time, all of this happening for me. And I just can't thank you enough, dude. You're my brother forever. And like you've gotten me closer. And like I feel like I'm on the best trajectory, independent of any external circumstances that are beyond my control. These are the things that are within my control. And it's
Mhm.
not even like hard when you get to this point, it's not even like I'm sacrificing or giving anything up. I'm under control. It's the best way to put it. I've gotten myself
You're
under
getting accustomed
control.
to it. Yeah.
And it couldn't all happen at once. I had to go through some stuff to get everything right, but now we're getting to where it's starting to really align together.
Mhm. Yeah, it's being desensitized. It has to be gradual. You have to start slow, and it has to be your decision. And and gradually, you teach yourself over time new habits. That's the only way you can be successful. If you go 100% hardcore, there's some people that do, but for the vast majority of people, they will fail. Especially when you're dealing with an addiction, you will end up. It will be such a shock to the system that you will go back even harder to the way you lived before. And that's why people yo-yo so often. That's why they usually gain more weight than they lost. And so many people say when it comes to God, doing it with God, achieving anything with God on your side. And it takes a very special person with a profoundly deep faith to do it with only God. And God knew that. It's the reason why we're here. That's why human beings exist and why we are commanded to love one another. Because by loving one another, we are sharing God with one another because God is love. So, our relationship, our bond of love that we have for one another, that is what's getting you here because God's in the midst of that.
Absolutely.
God is in the middle of everything we do with one another. And because of that, because of the fact that we're as close as we are for this past year with our weekly communication, with our seeing each other for weeks at a time, it has been a turning point for that reason. Because the connection that you were missing was filled with this. And where does God exist in all this? Right in the middle of it. Okay. He's right there in the midst of everything we do together because of how much we care for one another. That is the reason why this is working. It's because you're getting the love of God that you've always wanted, that you need, that everybody needs, and you're getting it through this. That's what we're all supposed to do for one another.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this. We're supposed to care and love for one another, and that's the way you transform the world. If everyone did this, this world would be heaven.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be aiming for heaven
believe
after this
exactly,
world
yeah.
because this would be it. That's what it's supposed to be. That's the reason why you've been able to do so much over the past year when it comes to your life. And we haven't even scratched the surface as to what you've accomplished. We're just talking about weight loss right now and your biggest struggle. This happens to be your biggest. This happens to be the one area that you've struggled with for your entire life. And it's the one area that I was determined to have an impact on somehow because I know that your life depends on it literally. And I want you around for a very long time. So that's the whole reason why this started. But ultimately, it has caused you to transform all areas of your life. And you've always been a great person. That's the reason why we've been so close for 30 plus years. But you've taken your life on a whole new trajectory. And it is just absolutely amazing the types of strides that you've made in every area. And that's because of the connection. And everybody needs to know that they're struggling in life. They really need one to try and get if they need therapy, go find somebody they can talk to. If they need coaching, you go to a good coach. I do coaching. You can come to me. We can talk. We can work through your problems together. I can give you advice. I can listen. I can help guide. But ultimately, go to somebody where you can get some sort of structure and then find the connection that you need with people who care about you and make those lasting friendships. It doesn't have to come from your family because we're not family. It can come from anybody. You can meet people, meet strangers you've never met before, and they can become just the closest people in your life that you can literally transform all the wounds from the past through future relationships with good people. You need to learn the skills to be able to discern good from bad and how to deal with people that don't have your best interests at heart. But ultimately, there are good people in this world. I'd like us to hopefully be some evidence of that, and we can, those good people can really compel you and motivate you to be the best that you can be. They can literally transform your life. It's incredible what I think. There's a lot of people who could testify to the fact that they were able to overcome addictions in their life once they got the connection they needed, once they got the help they needed and the connection they needed, where they could feel authentic love, because that's ultimately the healing grace that will take somebody away from the abyss. So, and that's what you've done, man. I give you all the credit in the world for choosing to do it, because you didn't have to do it. You didn't have to do anything.
No, I'm so glad I did, because once you know it, you don't want to let go. I mean, once you know it's there, he's there. Whether you're paying attention or not, he's there. So it's just, the quicker you start paying attention and allow him in, dude, like, you're going to become invincible. And that's how we're supposed to be.
Yeah,
But it just has to be his way. Let it be his way, because he wants what's best. It started with this nonsense with the job stuff, like just stupidity of this world impacting my career, which then had a negative effect on my weight. And it's like, enough's enough, man. Like, this stuff, I don't control that. Whether I should or not, I don't. So that's a whole nother debate. I mean, I could do things a lot better than people that have authority, right? In the workplace. I'm sure everybody can associate, with that. So, but that's independent of that. He wants me to thrive. He wants all of us to thrive, and not allow those negative forces. When you have him, you win. You just win. And we're not supposed to be dependent on people with negative ill will. He wants us to thrive. And I'm finding more and more, the more I allow him to take the lead, man. Like it's just it's working. It's working like crazy. I trust him. I trust him. Like I don't know how to put it. I just like he knows better than I do. I've been hitting my head against the wall for years with a lot of stuff, and if I'd love to know what it would look like if I didn't waste this much time. But better late than never. And once you're here, you don't want to lose this. You don't want to lose what I got right now.
I I just for clarification, I wanted to make sure when you say him, are you referring to me?
Well, I will say I have
I'd
a
like to think
unique
so, but I
connection
can't
with
take
you
I can't take
that
I can't take
he
yeah.
he brought
Okay,
us
so
together.
here, just to clarify, just people, yes, just to clarify to everybody listening, that the he that he's referring to just shows that you don't give me a little more credit than I deserve, just a little more, because
Yeah,
it's close.
you
What
you
you're
deserve a
saying
lot.
applies mostly to me as well, but he's referring to God and surrendering to
I
God
am.
and
Yeah, yeah,
surrendering his life, and yes, and all of the baggage that you've been carrying around, and you're surrendering all the baggage now of
yeah.
inevitably
Gone,
all the
gone.
330-pound baggage. Everything you're going to be given to him, and when you've done that and you don't carry that around with you everywhere you go, it makes it, you become a lot lighter. It becomes a lot easier to move around. It becomes a lot easier to accomplish your goals when you're not carrying around emotional distress with you every single minute of the day. That's what you've been doing. You've been letting that go and giving it to him and saying, all right, now what am I going to do? I'm no longer carrying all that around. So what am I going to do with my life? It's a wide open football field. I can do anything I want, and I can accomplish anything with him on my side and with great relationships like we have. You can accomplish anything in this life, and that's been motivating you in so many different areas. If people would know, like outside of just weight loss, um, so much has been happening behind the scenes with you that is just so transformative, and you see it because you live it. And I think it amazes you that it's happening, and you wonder, like, why, like, the fact that it's happening, I have to think back and try and reverse engineer why. And it's that combination, man. It's us and the loving friendship that we share and the relationship you have with God that motivates you and inspires you throughout the week to do what you should be doing. It's unbeatable. It truly is. And anybody that's there and is experiencing that in their life, they know what that's like. They know how it can inspire from within. It's not external anymore. It's internal.
You pointed out, like, through talking all this through and through experience all this every step of this way, you pointed out it's like how much of a role emotion plays in it is very significant.
Oh,
And
plays
this,
everything.
I mean,
Yes.
like, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, like, so once you identify what is triggering your emotional reaction, I mean, that for me, that's what, you know, that's what leading to all the foolish behavior. So, and it's almost like it feels like that's by definition, it's out of control. It's emotion taking over. But when you get where I'm heading, like that, that the emotion does not win. The emotion does not win. This beats emotion, you know? So you got to like let yourself get there and feel it. And it didn't just happen overnight for me. Like I need a little bit of time to get to where I am, to be genuinely here and be able to feel the things I'm feeling right now. It, you could tell me these things till you're blue in the face, but I have to live through experience to get to where I am. But I mean, I'm in a way better place right now than I was when we started this journey at 354. I'm in a better place. You know, I've got a head start from the weight loss perspective, but my mental perspective and emotional perspective is all the way trending in the right direction, which is going to enable the turbo boost this and just keep it steady moving forward.
Just like you said, emotion can drive you to do dastardly things, can also drive you to do very constructive, positive, life transforming things. And what you've done is you've changed the set of emotions that are driving you by connecting with the right forces in your life. Our connection, the connection with God, it's motivating you. It's giving you different emotions that you haven't experienced ever, that are propelling you forward. Emotions are going to make you do things. They can make you do bad things or good things, and that's where you're at now, doing the good things because of good emotions. And those emotions, you have to feed them. You can feed the bad emotions by carrying the baggage around like you were carrying around for a long time, or you can let go of the baggage. You can give it up to God and decide, I'm going to take a different path. And then suddenly your emotions start to change because you feel free. And when you're free, it gives you the ability to be the best you can be. And that freedom,
I could not understand these
is
words.
What's moving you forward now.
Yeah. You could have started
you
hit me
couldn't
with
have
this
conversation
8 months
with you.
ago,
No,
and I
no
would
way.
not have. I would not have taken this in like I feel it right now. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole journey, I guess, had to happen, but
No.
I'm grateful that it did because this is what's got me here, and I feel like it's steady trajectory, and I do feel like I can cut my losses if I have a bad week. Like, I don't feel like I have to gain a pound or two any weeks in the future. Like, worst case, I should just break even. And that's a big deal in itself. So, yeah, all these things have progressively gotten easier, and there's ups and downs, but it's all headed towards victory. There's going to be times where there's, setbacks or whatever that you can't control, but I'm better positioned now than I ever have been to conquer nonsense that's out of my control. Like, and it doesn't have to have a negative effect enough to have me gaining weight on a given week of any significance. Like, it might be somewhat stable on a rough time, but as long as I feel this way, I don't see how I'm not locked in and ready to win each week. It might be a half-pound weight loss one week, but it's going to be a weight loss. No, lose weight nonstop. That's my goal. I want to continue to go in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, set the pace this week. I set a pound and a half last week, and I got 2.2. I feel like I'm going to make the same aim point and try to duplicate that this next week. And then, just take it week by week like we've been doing. As I've turned things over to him, I've gone living life more day to day. I still plan things out, but the day is going to bring what it's going to bring. But I'm armed for whatever it brings. When you start to just accept the fact that the day is going to be what's already planned for you, it's empowering, man. And like, you take it as it comes, and you live in the moment. You live now. Instead of looking at it as, on Monday, I've got to make it till Friday before I can have carbs. I'm not thinking of it that way. I'm just thinking about get through Monday. Just do what you can do. Control what you can control on Monday. Slow it down, man. Just live the day one at a time.
One day at a time. The days
pile up. Yep. Whatever you think they're going to do, they're all going to take the same amount of time either way. So stop putting that on yourself and worrying about 6 days from now. Just do today the best you can. And then tomorrow, do today the best you can. Wednesday, do the best you can. Every single day, it adds up. It really adds up.